Cyber Reapers. Hello, Cyber Reapers. Today we are going low budget with my microphone, just as a heads up, because I lended my usual table to somebody, so I'm holding this with my hands, and I'm gonna do my best to not bump the mic. If I do, I'll just do what I usually do and, do a fade transition to the next part of the video. Anyhow, though, today I'm talking about a very exciting book, and I'll get to that in a minute. First, I'm gonna just briefly remind you, if you are not new to my videos, you already probably know this, but if you are, I have a book coming out in July. It's a young adult science fiction thriller. The links for that book, if you want to ARC read for it or pre-order it, are in the description, and that's all I'll talk about for right now, because I want to get to the actual, book that I'm going to talk about in this video. So, the book that I'm going to talk about today is Iron Widow by Xiran Jay Zhao. I really hope I'm saying that correctly, because I remember learning how to say their name at one point, because I think I watch a lot of their videos, on YouTube, because this author, they have a YouTube channel with a lot of content on it, so I'm like used to seeing their videos, but I think there was one video where they said their name specifically, and so I was like, okay, cool, now I know how to say it for certain, but now I don't remember how exactly they said it, so I kind of like briskly try to like rush through it so that it's as inoffensive as possible, but I really want to find that video again, wherever that was. I did, however, manage to find the video where they provide the pronunciations for all the character names, so I'm really, really glad for that. And yeah, I have a little reference sheet over there that I'm gonna keep going back and forth to look at, just to make sure that I am saying like their names as sort of close to correctly as I can. Anyhow, though, in case you are unfamiliar with the book Iron Widow is it's set in the future, so it's a science fiction book that it's about a war, and it's war between humans and aliens, and let's see, how do I want to explain this premise? The war, I really want to use my hands too to wave around my hands, but I'm like going, I have to keep still because of the microphone. And I want to show you the book, so let me actually do that real quick. There we go. So, beautiful cover. And that's our main character on the front, by the way. Zetian. Okay. I'm trying. I just learned the pronunciations about 10 minutes ago. Alright. And I'm gonna give you a heads up in case I haven't said this already. It has been a week, so I am tired and burned out, but that is exactly, well, there are two reasons why I picked up this book again, because it's one of my favorite books, Iron Widow. This is actually a reread, so, but I wanted to give it a proper review. This isn't really a review as much as it's just like gushing about how much I love this book, so this is a reread, and two reasons for that. Maybe three reasons. One, I wanted to give this book a proper review because I had given it 5 stars on Goodreads, but I hadn't actually dived into giving it a full-blown review. And I find that, reviews are extremely helpful for books. And I mean, this one already has a ton of reviews on it, but might as well add, more to the reviews, It can only help, So, there's that. Another reason is this week was actually the last 3 weeks have been really just days ago. No, it was yesterday. Okay. Feels like it's been longer. But yesterday I got to read Iron Widow quite a bit, because usually when I go in for like a medical procedure thing and I'm going to be sitting for a while in the waiting room, I like to have a book with me, so yeah, it was nice to just have it with me. I found that reading this book during this period of time was particularly, I think it was good for me, you know? And especially with it being a reread and knowing that I enjoy the book, I knew that during this time of me being just kind of down and not feeling so great. Oh, I can move this hand. Alright, without disturbing the sound. So with me being kind of down, and not feeling too great, feeling burnt out, feeling tired, I was just going, you know what, I need something that I know I'm going to enjoy. And so this book is definitely a book that I would enjoy. And on top of that, the third reason that I am finally getting to is that I read a lot of books on a library app, Libby, if you've ever heard of it. And placed a hold. I requested to be able to read Heavenly Tyrant, which is the second book that follows Iron Widow. And I requested that a while back, maybe at least 5 weeks ago, maybe more. And I think, it had to be more weeks ago, I think, because about a week or two ago, it popped up on my library app saying, like, hey, it's ready to read now, you can read it. And I had to make the difficult choice of going, I do not have time to read this right now, and it will just stress me out to accept this right now, and to see the times, the days ticking of, like, how much time I have left. It's a 2-week period of time that I can read, and usually I can get myself to, like, get enough time to read about a book a week. But at the time, I was, I think, about a third of the way through another book, and then there was another book that I had on Libby already that was different than the other third, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to pass it to the next person, because I want to reread Iron Widow before getting to Heavenly Tyrant anyway, so I did that. And now I've reread Iron Widow so that I am able to jump into Heavenly Tyrant whenever it next becomes available to me. So that's my very long-winded thing of essentially saying that right now is a good time, or was a good time for me to read Iron Widow, or reread it. So back to the premise, or let's get to the premise. If I cut out the part where I was kind of rambling about the premise. I was a little rambly earlier. Now we're getting actually to the part, though, where I talk about this book, because, man, there is a lot. So just talking about the premise, the setup part, it's a science fiction-y book. It takes place in the future, I think about 200 years from now, if I remember right, but don't quote me on that. Read it for yourself if you'd like to know the exact period of time it's been. But, yeah, so humanity is in a war with these alien creatures, and this is inspired, by the way, the book is inspired by, hold on, let me get the exact terms. It's in the front of the book. Yeah, the book is not historical fantasy or alternate history, but it's a futuristic story. It's set on an entirely different world, inspired by cultural elements from across Chinese history, and featuring historical figures reimagined in vastly different life circumstances. So a lot of creative liberties were taken in reimagining the historical figures. Okay, so yeah, just as a heads up, that helps set the tone as well for the premise. And yeah, so there's this war going on, and against these alien creatures, and humanity has figured out a way to essentially use the husks of the alien creatures to transform into technology that humans can use to fight back against these alien creatures that are trying to invade, you know? So, yeah, and this technology, it's basically like these giant mechanical creature kind of things. So, like a giant tiger, like a metal sort of tiger being, or a giant bird kind of being, or a dragon, like lots of different kinds. And what humans have done is essentially made it to where people can command these things from the inside. So you can put a couple of people in the piloting area, and they can essentially hook up their bodies and minds to the big giant metal machine thing and get those to fight against the other big giant metal like machine things that are, you know, the alien creatures. And yeah, the pilots are a man and a woman, or they're pretty young actually, because if I remember right, the oldest pilots tend to be around 25 or so, or they typically die maybe before 25, so they're fairly young adults that are being sent off to fight this war. And that's because the special kind of the stuff that is in a human that helps them resonate with the metal, the technology, the big giant metal technology things. Chrysalises are the big giant metal things. So people are able to resonate with the chrysalises and hook up their minds and bodies to it. And essentially their bodies go limp as their mind takes control. And the chrysalis becomes like an extension of the person. And so, yeah, the way that you pilot those, you have a young man and a young woman. And typically, I mean, the way it's set up is that the guys have a more powerful, I believe it's pronounced ki, possibly chi. I'm sorry, I should have looked that one up. But it's QI is the spelling for it. So the guys are born with more powerful versions of this stuff, apparently, in comparison to girls. As a result, well, in order to pilot the chrysalis, you need those two people. You need that balance of a guy and a girl. But if one of them is significantly more powerful than the other, then they can take over and essentially suck all of the life essence out of the other one. And usually that happens to where the guys suck all of the life essence out of the girls. So this war has resulted in a ton of girls dying, because apparently guys have more powerful life essence stuff, you know? And so, yeah, a lot of girls have died from that. And our main character, Zetian, she's not very happy about this, especially because her older sister enlisted in the war and she got killed by one of the guy pilots. So Zetian, she decides, you know what, I'm gonna enlist as well, except I'm not gonna go to war. I'm gonna kill the pilot that killed my sister. And she knows that she's not gonna be able to come out of this alive. Like, she does not intend to. She fully is going like, you know what, I gotta leave my family and my life behind. And her family's not that great anyway, especially to her and to her sister. And she kept kind of internally pleading, hoping that they just give her a reason to stay, to not enlist, and to follow through with her plan. But they just keep they keep verbally abusing her and not caring about her or her sister, and she just keeps getting more reasons to go, you know what, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna go off to do this, I'm gonna kill this well-known pilot that everybody loves, because he killed my sister, and I know full well what's gonna happen to my family if I do that, because I'm not the only one that's gonna die if I go do this. So, yeah, so that's her plan. Also, just as a little bit of setup, Satien, so you know a little bit about her family already. She's relatively poor as well, and something that is very much, she's also disabled, and that's something that hinders her movement quite a bit, because she is, how do I describe? I'll give mild content warning on this, and if you'd like to, I don't plan on describing it very much, but it might just kind of be a little much right now for you, and that's perfectly fine if it is. But it's related to her family abused her in a certain way that purposely resulted in the disfigurement of a body part. And so, if you'd like to skip that, feel free to do so. I'll write the timestamp to skip to. It shouldn't be very long of me talking about this, but I don't know. Alright, giving you a few seconds more to click, if you'd like. Because, yeah. And I'll kind of, for the sake of, like, the rest of the video, I'll just reference it as, like, I'll reference it mildly. I won't talk about the process or anything of how it happened. But yeah, okay. So, just another reason to not like her family, and to not like the system that is very much misogynistic. You can tell based on, I mean, if the army sending off girls to die and them not really caring much didn't tip you off, the society is very misogynistic. They are very sexist. They do not like women possibly being something different than what society has deemed for them to be, you know? And as part of this, there's this tradition that in order to be a sellable bride, you need to have your feet permanently altered. And so the process of this, like, Satien's mother and grandmother essentially had Satien walk on ice for a while until her feet were as numb as they could get, and then her grandmother, if I remember right, was the one who came in and broke all of Satien's bones in her foot, in both her feet, in order to reshape her feet to be no bigger than the palm of her hand. Now, I don't know about you, but that visualization in my head is just, oh my god. I don't know how you could do that to your own family member, but also it's just like further proof of how much this society is very, very geared toward the idea of women being subservient. Because what this results in is Satien's not able to walk very quickly. She's not able to run, and she kind of hobbles. She's not able, her mobility is limited, so it makes her easier to essentially to control. She has to use a wheelchair if she wants to get around on her own, or a walking stick. And the idea is to essentially not let her get too far if a guy wants to control her whereabouts, you know, like be able to just pick her up and not let her run away. So is referred to as like bound feet. So that's, yeah. So Zetian's grandmother and her mother also have bound feet, so they went through this process as well. And yeah, so, and the men of the family are not very, they're just not very good. I'm not going to talk about them much, I don't think, but just, you know, I'm not a fan of them, and I think you probably wouldn't be either. So, but yeah, that's setting that up. So just to clarify, I might refer to, without like going into Zetian's disability, like the actual like process, I'll refer to her feet as being, bound feet, and that refers to what her family did to her feet. So in case you skipped that portion, where I was talking about what specifically her family did, I'll just kind of say that thematically, it just adds to how society is, how they treat women, trying to make them even more subservient and controllable. So, yeah. And I don't remember if this was before that skip part, so I'll just also mention that it limits her mobility, her bound feet. So she's not able to run, and she's not able to walk very easily on her own, and it hurts every single step. So, yeah. Alright, there's that. So now, even more setup, just a little bit more before I go into the war part. And by the way, all this stuff, when I say spoiler-free in the title, I mean that I'm talking about the stuff in the blurb, and then anything beyond that is either vague or points that I think are marketable points that I've seen like used in marketing for this book. So they might not necessarily be points in the blurb, but they are points that those points might build a compelling case for like convincing you to read the book if those points are like things that you might resonate with. So yeah. Now we're gonna talk about one of the three main characters that is not Zetian. Alright. And that is Isha. I think it's something like that. Isha. Yeah. Also, like the author said, as long as you don't pronounce this character's name as, what was it, Yeezy? As long as you don't pronounce it like that, you're fine. And I think it is like something close to like Isha. So we're gonna go with that. Isha. Okay. Isha. Oh, it may have had more of a J. I never quite know how to anglicize the pronunciations for me to be able to remember them, because I feel like if I put an I in there, it would confuse me more than just putting the J-U-H, which I already did. Anyhow, the character. This guy's great. So, what did I specifically say? Okay, I put in my notes that he's such a refreshing ride-or-die character. He's got wealthy roots, and he doesn't question the ones he loves. Well, I mean, he questions them a little bit, but when it comes to, like, really important things, he's like, nope, I'm not gonna press you, I understand. Like, I trust you. And so, he's great, I love him. He also says the most popular line in the book, if I remember right, which is, you can't shoot me, I'm rich. It's funny in the context of the scene, so I think it's funny outside of context a little bit too, but yeah. Okay, so, Yisha. Okay, Yisha, yeah. He and, Zetian, got to know each other in secret, just kind of meeting up once a month for I think about 3 years or so before Zetian decides to enlist, and she keeps it a secret from him at first, and then like tells him, I think the day before she's gonna enlist, and yeah. Anyway, we'll pause on that for a bit. So just so you know, he's there, and he's important. And then, yeah, so Zetian enlists, and she already sticks out as somebody who is a lot more willing to speak up, and she's a little sharper, a little wittier, and just generally more willing to speak out, because in comparison to the other girls who are enlisting and going through these tests to determine whether their aptitude is good enough to be to essentially pilot a chrysalis with the pilot who killed Zetian's sister. So yeah, so Zetian goes in, and she has a higher aptitude than most everybody there. Well, actually, no, than everybody there. So she's got pretty good chances already of being selected. But you know, her outspokenness gets more attention. So she does get selected as to be paired with that pilot. And yeah. Also, just to note that when a chrysalis is piloted, I mentioned that there is a guy and a girl in there, right? And the idea is, or the hope is, that eventually there will be a case of a balanced match where the guy and the girl, they have equally enough like life power or strength to be able to control the chrysalis together. So there's a few of those out there, but generally it's mostly just a lot of guy pilots who every single time they go out to battle risk killing one of the girls that comes with them, and so the girls end up being largely disposable. And it's almost just about guaranteed that if you go into battle as a girl, you will die unless you are part of a balanced match. And so Zetian's higher energy thing is like kind of hopeful, but also she has no intention of going to battle. She knows she would probably die if she did. But yeah, she intends to kill the pilot before they ever go into battle. So yeah. At this point, like, she's very angry and she's very focused. She's very much going, I know my goal. I am going after my goal. And also, like, just a bit of her anger is kind of spilling out a little bit, but just barely. She's acting pretty well at this point, and able to kind of channel her anger or resentment into making it look like she's nervous. And so when she goes with the pilot to his bedchamber area, oh, right, of course, in addition to piloting together, those who pilot together are expected to be essentially in a romantic, committed relationship. Even if you are, like, you know, one of the many who are gonna go into battle and die as a girl, you know, you still have to, for that short period of time, you have to be very subservient to the guy pilot. So yeah, they go to his bedchambers, and yeah. Well, before anything happens, though, the call to war sounds. Oh no, there's an attack happening, the enemy is approaching. And the way protocol goes is that pilots who don't have like a balanced match, they just have to grab the nearest pilot girl enlisted and use her in the battle. And well, guess who was closest to him? That was Zetian. So he grabs her while she is like fighting. She is fighting to get out of this because she didn't get her chance to kill him, and she's now going off to battle, and she knows this is how girls die, you know? This is how they will die when they are enlisted. But he forces her into the pilot seat, and they go into battle, and he thinks it's business as usual. Satine, though, whenever they go into battle, she doesn't like that. So whenever they, their bodies link up to the chrysalis that they're in, right? And their minds kind of link up sort of to each other. So they go into each other's, what is called like a mind realm. And it's sort of this subconscious area that manifests as a mix of like the person's memories and their fears and just kind of dark parts of them. And typically the idea is for the female pilot to comfort the male pilot's subconscious. But Zetian, finding all these memories of all these girls that had died, just gets angry. Like, she gets so angry that she goes, you know what, no, I am not gonna treat this subconscious with comfort, because that's how all the other girls died. So I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna strangle it. And her actions result in her taking control of the chrysalis by herself and sucking off all the life energy of the male pilot. So she technically did what she came to do. She killed the male pilot. And the news, like all the people watching and everything, live streaming this battle, and also the strategists who were watching and the people on the battlefield, like everybody was expecting a balanced pair or a balanced match based on how it looked from the outside. They could tell that Zetian had woken up in a way, but they did not realize that she had siphoned off all the energy, or taken all the energy from the other guy, or the guy. And so when she emerged and they expected to see both of them alive and, a balanced pair or a balanced match, she just like dropped his body on the floor, and I think she said, "Welcome to your nightmare." And it's just like, oh, that's so good. Because in that moment she was going, you know what, I might die, but I was intending to die in the first place. And if I am so powerful enough to have overpowered a powerful male pilot, this army actually might need me and might therefore keep me alive. And so she's like, you know what, let me try to use that to stay alive if I can help it. So that is kind of the premise. Oh, wait. Sorry, there's a little more to the premise. So the army, and basically a lot of people did not like her killing off this popular male pilot. So as a way of sort of both using her and also punishing her, they set her up with the most powerful male pilot they have. And he is a person who is known as a murderer. He is very much hated by pretty much everybody because he committed patricide and he killed his brother, I think, in addition to his father, possibly brothers, if I remember right. And so he is essentially kind of like a prisoner in the army because he's the most powerful, but they also all hate him, so he does not get the typical privileges of a pilot, not even as the most powerful of them. So yeah, she gets paired with him, and I think the idea of the strategist is, well, either she's gonna die from him killing her, or you magically get a balanced match that is going to be our most powerful asset against the enemy. So, and they really, yeah, that's kind of how they set that up. So I think that is what I'd say the premise is. Oh, and to clarify, the male pilot, the most powerful one she was matched up with, his name is Ximin, I think. It was closer. Ximin. Okay, I'm trying. But yeah, and he is important too, in case you didn't glean that. So, those are our three main characters, actually. Zetian, our main character, and then I mentioned earlier, Yizhi, who's the wealthy guy who, got to know Zetian before she enlisted, and then also Ximin, who is the most powerful male pilot in the army. So, yeah, those are our three main characters. And from there, I won't give away plot points, because shenanigans happen, and there's just so much. There's so many instances of. Well, there's action in the sense of there are battles, and those battles are really I think they are anime worthy, in the sense of I think they would look really good animated, and I can picture the way the battles look in my head as kind of being animated based on the descriptions of how fluidly the chrysalises shift and transform, and the way they fight and the way they use weapons sometimes. It's really neat how the battles were described, especially because there's a mix of the external, what is literally happening in the battle, and also the internal mind struggle, because there's a lot of conflict in there as well. I mentioned the mind realm area, and that is a way of the pilots to get to know each other, as well as just a place of conflict. And there's so much also political, societal stuff about how do you, as Zetian is trying to survive and to do what she can to survive, not only the next 5 minutes, but to survive after that. She's thinking as much as she can of how to make herself marketable as a celebrity, so that she's not only important in the scope of this war, but also important after it, so that she doesn't just win it for them and then, get killed by the army. So she's very much thinking far, and trying to make allies, and or trying to find allies, and finding them in finding relationships that are sometimes, in some cases they are friendly on the surface, but because of manipulation could turn unfriendly very fast. And there are also cases of where some characters, it seems like a rocky relationship, but they're also actually trying to help each other, sort of, and have a sort of mutual understanding that while they don't like each other, they still have some sort of a little bit of respect for each other. And it's interesting, the nuance of the different characters interacting with each other. I quite like it. Because there are some characters that you can tell are very straightforward in how they present themselves, and the layers that they have are layers that Zetian understands, and then there are other characters where she doesn't really understand how they work, or what makes these characters tick, or these other people tick, and it's really interesting seeing it through her eyes, because she has a lot of layers of internalized misogyny that she is working through and breaking out of, and just layer by layer trying to dismantle her own ideas of what it means to be a woman and what it means to be, well, largely what it means to be a woman, but also what it means to be a person, ideas about gender, ideas about sexuality, and just a lot of dismantling mindsets going on and rebuilding, and it's really neat to see that journey that she goes on. And I'm really excited to see how it goes in book 2, because just how quickly, well, it's not really quickly, because it's definitely a long journey in book 1 that Xiran undergoes, but I think it also just is, it's a lot of it's a compact set of events, I think. So I'd be interested to see just how time makes her change as well. And especially with the book's ending, which, no, I will not talk about that, but I'm just saying the ending does have a mild, I shouldn't say mild, because people have different ideas of what cliffhangers feel like, but I'll say that the book has a cliffhanger at the end, and I'm really quite curious to see how it goes from there. So yeah, I'm glad Heavenly Tyrant is out now, because I really want to read it. Yeah. Okay, so where was I on that? I've talked about, like, premise-related stuff, and I've talked a bit about the characters, and I don't want to go into, like, shenanigans specifically of what happens, but I will talk about, like, some things that I think that if some of these things intrigue you, I think this book would really appeal to you. And so I think there's something really compelling about Xiran, and I think, well, actually, there's a lot compelling about her, I think, because when she wants, she doesn't hesitate to dive into things, particularly when it comes to, if she has decided that she is done giving second chances to a certain person or people, then she's like, nope, I've given you all your chances, you're done. No leeway. And in some cases, she does actually try to be forgiving, or at least extend an olive branch, but then if that olive branch is not appreciated, or if it is not, if it's not reciprocated, then she will be like, nope, if you're in my way, you're in my way, and I will deal with you however I need to in order to get to what my goal is. So she other people tend to misunderstand what exactly it is that motivates her, and there are some very select few people who actually do understand her motivations, and that leads to, like, other people knowing her weaknesses, but also a lot of people misunderstand her weakness because they just don't understand her. They don't understand how an anomaly like her works or thinks, and while us as readers being inside her head, it makes complete sense, being in that society, it also makes sense for them to not understand how she works based on just how much propaganda has been shoved down their throats in relation to women and their place in society and their place in the home, or even in the military, or in society, in work, in everything. Yeah, I forgot where the beginning of that sentence was, so I'm hoping I ended it fine. Anyway, so I think, yeah, Xiran is very compelling as a character. And I also just really, I find that her actions are cathartic as well. Because she has a lot of rage that I think is justifiable, and seeing her just take out that rage and just be like, nope, I'm not holding back. I know that you want me as a woman to hold back my rage, and I will not hold it back just to spite you, that kind of behavior. And while it does get her into trouble sometimes, it also is very, it just really is super compelling to read. Like there are so many cases, as, I mean, I'm non-binary, but I am female, and other people, they tend to assume I'm a woman, and so they treat me as they treat women, and it's, just the way that people invade your personal space at the grocery store, the way that they don't, like, around men, the way that, or I should say, the way that guys will, like, reach over my shoulder, and the way that they will not stop walking and assume, like, if they are walking towards you, they will assume you move out of the way. I have not tried the social experiment online that I've seen some women do of them just not moving out of the way and running into each other because the man just refused to move. Like, just weird things like that, where just the cis straight men apparently are just so entitled that they think that they can just do things and the women around them will just move, or will just not be concerned, or I don't know, it's just, yeah. So that's where was I? Oh, so there are a lot of cases that I've experienced, and many other women and just femme presenting people have experienced, where I think just a lot of us would like to do what Zetian does, and just be like, you know what, I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to hold back my words. I'm not going to hold back my punches. I'm not going to hold back anything. You're going to know exactly what I think. And it's just so nice to read that kind of thing. Because, yeah, as tempting as it is to do it, it's just not safe to do that. It's just not safe to do that when you are marginalized and when you are in a community that is very, red. I live in Texas, by the way, and while it is, like, I'm in a pretty blue part of Texas, but the people around here who think they are liberal are not as liberal as they think they are. At least not in comparison to what I'm used to. Like, my own, just, respecting other human beings and supporting other human beings, particularly marginalized people. Like, that isn't quite the level that people around here are at, They're at the level of, how do you describe? The people around here who are on the more liberal side are ones who are like, you know what, I'm not going to ask about your life. I'm not going to promote your life. I'm my voice cracking. Anyway, maybe I'll just stop. Okay, you know what? You don't need to hear about the people around here. You just the idea is, I do not feel safe around here speaking up or acting aggressively in such a way that, like, it's open carry. Somebody could have a gun around me, and if I speak up, they could shoot me, and the law doesn't care, or I'm not going to care about the law if I'm dead, so whether I was in the right doesn't matter if they're just going to attack me. So so it's not worth it speaking up in most instances that I find. it's not even, you have to be careful how you drive around here too, you know? So, because if you anger a bad driver, sorry, I'll stop there. If you anger a bad driver though, and they happen to have something in the car, it's just, you know? And so Iron Widow is very much it's released anger, unrestricted, you know? Well, it's not exactly unrestricted, because Zitian has a lot of restrictions on her that she has to cleverly figure out how to work around in order to survive. And so in a way, it is actually quite a bit like current reality, you know, for a lot of people. But she does have a lot of power, though, and so she's able to figure out ways of getting around the system a little bit. So, yeah. Speaking of that system, also, well, oh man, I probably shouldn't point that part out. I just realized in my notes I shouldn't point that out, because that's kind of a later thing, so let's just say that you'll like the character Ximin as well, or Ximin. You'll like him. He's been abused by the system as well, and yeah, I'll let you figure out his personality, even though I want to tell you about him, but just you read it first, and then we can talk, you know? I'm not sure who my favorite is among the three of them, too. That's interesting, because most of the time I do generally have a favorite character among, like, the main characters of a book, but I think I really like each of them equally, and I love that. Yeah, I like that quite a bit. And it also kind of indicates to me that they complement each other really nicely, because no, this isn't a spoiler point because this is marketed. This book has polyamory in it, so when I say they are the three main characters, I say they are the three main characters. So if you don't know, polyamory also is essentially it's outside of the ideas of a romantic relationship, a romantic and or sexual relationship being limited to two people. So polyamory could be three people who they love each other, all three of them. It could be three people who, like, two of them love one person, and it's reciprocated back from that one person, but the other two don't love each other. It could be more than three people, it could be four people, five people, and some of them might not be in love with or have sex with each other, or some cases it might be, yeah, you have like a group of five people who all of them love each other, you know? It can take many forms, and it's essentially just not limiting it to two people. So that's what I'd say to introduce polyamory. And in this particular case, it's where Zitian and Ximin and Yishu. Saying all three of their names very, like, next to each other is tripping me up. And I'm embarrassed at my lack of Chinese pronunciation skills. Especially because, if you don't know, I may have talked about it before, I have a few Chinese friends. So I have friends everywhere. I'm so happy that I know so many people that are, like, just so great. I don't mean to brag, I mean that as a way of, like, bragging about my friends, not bragging about me. Because they're wonderful. But yeah, as a result, in college, like, some of my friends were taking Chinese classes, and some other of my friends were just straight up from China or Taiwan, and so it was fun talking talking language, especially a lot of my friends were linguistics majors as well, or taking linguistics classes, so talking about Chinese pronunciation and Chinese like words in the language definitely came up a lot. And so I have like a very, 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 very mildly slight more knowledge than, say, maybe most Americans on Chinese in terms of the language, you know. But I would not say that I know it. Like I'm bad at tones. I just know that there are tones, and I know that apparently I can't say my friend's name properly, even though I try so hard. Yeah, I want to ask her again, but I also know that she kind of maybe gets tired of other people messing it up so much that she kind of gives up on asking people to try it. But I do want to ask again eventually so that I can try to get it right. But yeah, all right. As I was saying, there's polyamory, and the three main characters, whose names I am learning to say, they are in a polyamorous relationship, so it's cute. It's very cute. Alright, what else in my notes did I want to cover? Because I think I did cover actually most everything. But in terms of representation, though, if you want the actual, like, specific points of, like, if you're looking for a book with any of these things, then I would definitely recommend this one, because it dives into a lot of marginalized representation. So, like, the cast is pretty much an all Asian cast, and I mean, you know that Zetian is a disabled lead, and it definitely affects her life. It's there's a lot. I'm trying to avoid any sort of specific instances, but just over the course of the book, you get, there's a lot of Zetian considering how she can be independent and strong as a woman, and also while being disabled, because she can't physically, there are some things she can't physically do, and when she is piloting, say, a chrysalis, she's able to do a lot more than what her physical body can. So there's a lot of stuff about how her disability, how she considers herself as, like, in relation to her femininity, and also in relation to her disability, and her personal power and rage, and it's really interesting how it all wraps together. So yeah, there's that in terms of representation. In addition, there are LGBT characters, so like Ximin, and Yishu. I don't like that I keep saying them twice too. Let's do it one time. So characters like Ximin and Yishu. Alright, there we go. They are LGBT. And I get some sense, I'm not entirely certain, so do not quote me on this, but based on my personal speculation of how I read Zetian, I would suspect maybe a little bit of non-binary in her. And I keep using she, her pronouns for Zetian because I don't think it's been confirmed. Maybe it has in Heavenly Tyrant and I just haven't gotten to it. I'm sorry if I'm behind on updating the pronouns for Zetian. But right now I'm still going to use she, her, and I'll apologize if I read Heavenly Tyrant and I'm going, oh god, I missed the non-binary icon pronouns change. Anyway, though, for right now, though, based on the context of the first book, using she, her for Zetian, I'm going to still use she, her for now, unless I hear otherwise. So, yeah, though, I suspect potential non-binariness in Zetian, but it also could just be she's in a very patriarchal society and she wants to break free of the gender roles that are in that. And I mean, you can completely be 100% feeling your femininity and your womanness and being a woman and not being non-binary and still like question gender roles in society. Like that's 100% a thing, and it's completely valid. There's something. There were a couple of motifs in there, and the way Zetian described those motifs that could be interpreted as either she's trying to break out of some gender role aspect or she considers herself something different than the binary. And so I'm kind of curious to see where that goes. Because, yeah, there's like a butterfly motif where the butterfly was both male and female, if I remember right. And just something about the way Zetian reacted to that. I could see that either the butterfly is, referencing the chrysalis having both a male and female pilot, or it could be, Zetian being like, I kind of resonate with that idea of being like a bit of both, personally. But anyway, I could be wrong, or I could be gauging that improperly. Or maybe that is meant to be there, and she won't necessarily be non-binary, but she'll still feel sort of a bit of like feeling like something else, and maybe that's just in relation to the gender roles. So I don't know, but yeah, so since that's not confirmed, I'm not going to say anything about that specifically as being like representation for Zetian, but there's definitely LGBT characters in there, though. I don't know if necessarily she is one, but I don't know. There's also not necessarily anything. Oh, wait. I just remembered. I think she might be bi. I forgot about that because she was talking. She was talking about how she suspected that, Yishe. She suspected that he was bi. And I think she made a comment at one point that she similarly looked at girls the way that he looked at guys sometimes. I can't believe I forgot about that bit. Because I think it was not like brought up again of like her possibly liking girls that way. I can't believe I forgot about that until now. Anyway, though, yeah. So, all three of them might be bi. Alright. I can't believe I missed that. Or, I mean, I forgot about it until it just came up in my head. Okay. Alright. Well. Yeah, they're LGBT. Lots of LGBT. It's great. LGBT icons. Alright. And also I mentioned polyamorous relationship. So, it's cute. It's great. And this book is actually one of the ones that like first introduced me to polyamory and made me realize, oh my gosh, this is so cute. This would be such a great system of a relationship. And I mean, to clarify, I don't like idolize it. A polyamorous relationship requires just as much work and actually more work and more effort than to like make sure you keep up your communication and everything. It requires more than a two-person relationship because obviously there are more people involved, and so communication is very much key to managing things like jealousy or scheduling and stuff like that. So, and this is just from what I've read and what I've heard from like polyamorous people and their accounts. If I remember right, Decolonizing Polyamory is an account that I follow that is very informative. And so, but yeah, this book was one of the stories. I think this was the only book that actually got me into it, and then there were webtoons that got me into polyamory as well, including Boy boyfriends, and what's the one with Enrique and I think his name is Victor, and I can't believe I don't remember that. It's one of my favorite webtoons. I just kind of forget the titles because I don't really discuss webtoons as much out loud, so I just kind of skim past the title. Okay, I'll put it down here as soon as I remember it in editing, because that's insane that I don't remember that. But point is, this book and like webtoons like those introduced me to polyamory and really made me go, oh my gosh, that's like really neat. That, yeah. And turns out it's, one of the many things that's been around for centuries, and colonialism came in and swept it under the rug, trying to pretend it's not a good thing or not an okay thing, So, anyway, it's in the context of this book as well, it's yet another thing that like makes the three main characters, that sets them apart from societal standards, because polyamory is not a thing that is talked about or something that's really there in the society or in the context of this world in Iron Widow. So it's really neat that they just organically came to that on their own, because they just all three very much had connection to each other, and it just became something kind of natural, that they all trusted each other and felt attraction to each other, and they went, you know what, there's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with us, so yeah, let's just love. Our love is not limited. It's infinite. So, yeah. And also, as another thing, this book covers recovery from addiction, particularly alcohol addiction. I won't go into that a lot because that is a plot point, or many plot points really. But it's a very important character journey, and I think it's super important not only to depict the character going through it and showing that they are a victim and that addiction really does make people act super differently, but also it's important to show the character journey of someone supporting that person, or actually going from a place of judgment to support. Because initially, one of the other characters was coming from a place of thinking, I think I already said it pretty well, judgment to support. And I think a lot of people do judge quite a bit before really getting to know a person's situation, especially when it comes to cases of like addiction. So I think it's super important to see this depicted in books, and especially, well, I'm pretty sure this is a new adult book, as in for people who are, say, like 18 to 29 or something years old. I don't remember the exact age range that people advertise to the new adult book category. But to clarify, this is not a young adult book. I think something weird happened with the publishing where some people are marketing this as a young adult book, and it's not. I mean, I totally could see it as one, but also if I remember right, the author explicitly said they did not mean it to, or that it is a new adult book. But yeah, and I'm hoping I'm right on that, because I'm pretty sure that's in my memory somewhere of them saying that people think it's young adult and it is not. So with it being in the new adult category, that technically makes it in the adult category, but it is still for fairly, like, it is directed for an audience of people who are newly legally adults, and I think that's a very important audience in of itself to target for very specific messages of like, hey, you are figuring out your identity in a place that is like typically you are now more so independent in comparison to when you were a teenager. So figuring out your identity now is going to feel weird and strange, and society is going to tell you a lot of things about how you're supposed to live. But here's the thing, you are on your own now. You can do what you want. You can live differently than other people. So I think there's I think that market's very important, the new adult book market, or age range, having that be an explicit range rather than just grouping it in as another adult book. So yeah, I think this book definitely appeals to that specific age range, which, guess what? I'm part of that age range, so no wonder I love this book so much. But anyway, did I read it back when I was... Oh yeah, I read it in college, okay, yeah. So yeah, I was still in the age range at that time. So I think I just had one more point to say, which is like the way that the main characters stand up for each other and take accountability for their actions when they like step over a line is it's just so great. They provide such good examples of that because there was particularly a moment near the beginning of the book where I was going, oh, I forgot this book does that. They write, like, there are good examples in here of characters who recognize that their actions went over the line, that they did something that put the other character in a difficult situation and they went, I'm sorry, you know? And it's just so great. So I loved seeing that among the main characters. Yeah. So, and I just love the three of them against the world vibes as well. So, yeah. And that about covers all my notes. And I'm noticing now that I talked for a long time. And it was quite rambly, especially near the beginning there. And just any time I said one of their names. Okay, let me do this one more time. Zetian, Ximin, Yizhi. Okay, I want to say the last one again, but I'm not gonna, because I'm just gonna keep trying to get myself to say these names every so often, but I'm just gonna allow myself to say them once, and then normalize having that be said once, and that way I can practice and just eventually be able to pull out the correct pronunciation the first time through, you know, without me just having to keep adjusting until I get to it, you know. Although I'm gonna have to listen to that video again to actually make sure I'm saying it correctly. But yeah. Alright, so yeah. Iron Widow by Xiran Jay Zhao. Alright, so appreciation one more time for this book's cover. Like, that's just beautiful, that's gorgeous. Oh, and also, that's not a spoiler. Alright, so you see, like, on the cover, these wings here. So the chrysalis that Zetian and Ximin, sorry, I forgot the pronunciation. Ximin. The chrysalis that they pilot is called the Vermilion Bird. So, that's what's on the cover here, depicted around her. So here's the back where it shows a little more of it. I just think that's so neat. And also, in case it's a selling point for anybody, the author likes to take funny pictures for their author photos. So, yeah, this one's the cow. So, how do I best hold this up with one hand? Let me see if I could just kind of... Just appreciation for this author photo right here. So yeah, that's, yeah. And the other ones, I think there's like a dinosaur, a similar like to the cow onesie. There's like a dinosaur onesie that they wear with like while I think holding their cat. So, and I think that's either in Heavenly Tyrant or their other book, which I have not read yet. But yeah, unless you want to worry about getting this book, because it is a really neat book, and I'm glad to have read it, because I didn't know Xiran Jay Zhao initially as an author as much as I knew them as a YouTuber, because I watched their videos talking about like history and Chinese representation and meaning in art depiction in like modern media, like Mulan, the animated film from Disney, and also Mulan, the live action, whatever that was from Disney, and the what else, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, stuff like that. So I was just like going, you know what, I want to support them. So if I see this book when I'm just out and about, I'll get it. And I did. I saw it in I think, I want to say it was a Barnes & Noble in Lubbock when I was visiting a friend. And I was like, hey, that's one of the books I know from somebody online, so I'm gonna get it. And then I read it, and it changed my life. It's one of my favorite books, and it introduced me to polyamory, and it is just such a cool book. I love it. So, I mean it when I say it's one of my favorites. And I think it's, I guess that's all I have to say on that. Yeah, man, I really hope the audio quality is good, because like I said, it's, I'm kind of doing low budget here by holding, here, let me show you. I'm holding this mic. So it's low budget today, because like I said, a lot of things have been going on, and I'm lending my usual table thing that I put on the bed to hold the mic. I'm lending that to somebody at the moment, because they need it more than I do right now. And there's just been a lot of things going on. I had jury duty, by the way. That was actually kind of fun. I read a book, because they just had us in the waiting room for, I think, 2 or 3 hours, and then they said, you know what, all of the cases didn't go to court. We don't need a jury, you can go home. So technically I got $6 for reading for a few hours, so that's pretty cool. I did have to drive, 40 minutes to get there, but it was alright, I think it was a good introductory experience for me, because that was actually my first jury duty summons that I wasn't in school for. Like, I wouldn't have been able to go when they called me the other time when I was in college. I was going, I'm in Portland. I can't get there right now. So, anyway, yeah, I had jury duty. There was a medical thing. There was a medical thing. Other things. Yeah, I'm just very burned out, and so I'm glad I read this book, because I actually got through it a lot quicker than I thought I would, just because I was enjoying it again, and I was enjoying seeing all of the reading through it, and with the context of the reveals near the end of the book, and going, oh yeah, this all makes sense, all this setup, all this foreshadowing, yep, I get it, it's very cool. And it was a very pleasant read to read again, I definitely enjoyed rereading this one this week, and I hope if you haven't read it, I recommend checking it out if any of this sounds fun to you. It's fun to talk about as well, so I'm enjoying myself just talking here now. And I'm sorry, I'm just now noticing how off-center I am, because I'm supposed to look at the camera and not myself, so this entire time, I bet I've been sitting over here. I'm so tired. Please, forgive me. Forgive me for my tiredness, but, I think that is pretty much all I have to say on Iron Widow. I really very much look forward to Heavenly Tyrant, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to read that, but we'll see. Hopefully the opportunity will be soon enough, because I've heard good things about it, and I look forward to seeing how the characters, progress. And so, yeah. Alright, so I'll let you go to wherever you need to go. Whatever time it is, day, night, whenever, wherever. I hope that this video has helped you in some way. Whether it's by finding a book that is new and that you enjoy, or maybe just listening to a book, even if you don't feel like necessarily reading it, you still like hearing about it, that's perfectly fine too. Or if you just want to hear me talk and not really pay attention too much, that is perfectly acceptable as well. It's perfectly valid. I just kind of like hearing somebody talk in the background sometimes, because videos like that help me personally to feel calm, because I kind of feel like I'm not alone with those videos, so I hope that I can kind of provide that same sort of support to people as well. And I'm here for a while. You can see I talk a lot, so yeah. Alright. So wherever you're going next, I hope you have fun, or at least that it's fulfilling.